My name is Bob Melling and I am a Principal Compliance and Enforcement Officer within the Office of Fair Trading. This is a copy of the public information session we delivered in August and September 2014. Thank you for your time to watch this presentation about changes resulting from the repeal of the Property Agents and Motor Dealers Act 2000 and its replacement with the Property Agents Act, the Motor Dealers and Chattel Auctioneers Act and the Debt Collectors Act. We appreciate you are all busy people and appreciate your investment of time to learn these changes and how they impact on your business operations. A central focus in splitting the Property Agents and Motor Dealers Act into 4 industry-specific acts has been a red tape reduction. The split is also a response to industry calls over time to move away from a one-size-fits-all legislation, replacing it with the industry-specific acts. The new legislation aims to achieve an appropriate balance between protecting consumers and freedom of enterprise in the marketplace. This structural change facilitates legislation that is more responsive to the individual needs and characteristics of each regulated industry sector. It is expected to lead to increased industry standards, simplified compliance, and increased consumer confidence in the industry sectors. The new laws are the Property Occupations Act 2014, Motor Dealers Auctioneers Act 2014, Debt Collectors, Field Agents and Collections Act 2014, and Agents Financial Administration Act 2014. The laws are yet to commence. In fact, the regulations are yet to be approved, although significant work has been undertaken with industry to get these developed. Additionally, extensive consultation over the forms has been undertaken with industry representatives and will soon be available for release. But given the regulations are yet to be approved, it would be inappropriate to provide you with drafts at this stage. Nevertheless, we will provide you with the overview of the changes with forms, including significant reduction in their number. The property agents and property auctioneers will be regulated by the Property Occupations Act 2014. The Act provides the licensing system for real estate agents, real estate salespeople, auctioneers of real estate property, and resident letting agents. Motor Dealers and Chattel Auctioneers will be regulated by the Motor Dealers and Chattel Auctioneers Act 2014. The Act provides the licensing and conduct of motor dealers, chattel auctioneers and their employees. Debt collectors will be regulated by the Debt Collectors, Field Agents and Collection Agents Act 2014. The Act provides the licensing and conduct for the debt collection industry. The Act uses the term debt collectors for the purposes of describing persons performing debt collection, repossession and process serving activities. All acts will be regulated by the Agents Financial Administration Act 2014. The Act regulates the financial administration requirements for all of the industry-specific acts. All acts will be regulated by the Fair Trading Inspectors Act 2014. The Act provides the compliance and inspectorate provisions for enforcement of the industry-specific acts. What is changing across the acts? Licenses and registration certificates, appointments, transactions, code of conduct. Throughout the presentations, we'll also provide an overview to the changes under the Agents Financial Administration Act 2014, Fair Trading Inspectors Act 2014. Licenses and registration certificates. All continuing license and registration certificate categories will automatically transition to either the Property Occupations Act 2014, Motor Dealers and Chattel Auctioneers Act 2014, or Debt Collectors, Field Agents and Collections Act 2014. This includes former partial house categories in their transition form. Under the U Act, when you renew a license, you will not need to show evidence of active trading, and registered salespeople will no longer need to provide a current photograph of themselves. On renewal, you'll receive a U license or a registration certificate under the U Acts. A corporate licensee no longer needs a licensed director. However, a corporation will need to appoint a licensed person in charge. There are suitability requirements for executive officers. For example, if they have committed an indictable offence, they may not be appointed. Employment register. You will no longer need to keep an employment register. Instead, you must keep a copy of the licence or registration certificate of each staff member at each place of business. Show these copies to our inspectors if we ask to see them. Show these copies to anyone you deal with if they ask to see them. Display of licence. Principal licensees are no longer required to display their licence at their registered offices. Referee certificate. The shuttled auctioneers who run livestock auctions will no longer need to get a referee certificate from their client before paying out the proceeds of an auction. You also must be able to show any person you're dealing with a copy of any relevant licence or registration certificate, whether individual or corporate. Agents Financial Administration Act. If you are required to operate a trust account, you must be aware of the requirements and obligations under the Agents Financial Administration Act 2014. Under the UACT, the process to appoint an auditor has changed. You no longer need to give the Office of Fair Trading the name of your auditor when you apply for your licence. When appointing an auditor, you need to say who the auditor is, make the appointment within a month of opening your trust account, notify us within a month of making the appointment, include evidence in notification that the auditor has accepted the appointment. Under the UACT, infringement notices for certain trust account offences can be issued. For example, late banking of trust monies, pre-drawing commission and expenses, and accounting the clients within the statutory time limits. These are only proposed infringement notices. They will need to be approved by Office of Fair Trading Management as well as going through the SPUR regulation process. Negative licensing for collection agent. The debt collection industry will be developed into two distinct specialisations, collection agent and field agents. We will go into more detail about this in the debt collectors presentation. The new laws make the claim fund more effective to use. The decision to decide a claim within the Office of Fair Trading or refer it to the Queensland Civil and Administrative Tribunal, which is QCAT, is now based on the complexity of the claim and not the monetary value. Generally, we will not have to give a statement of reasons, but you can ask for one. Under the UACT, financiers will be stopped from being able to access the claim fund, except if they are claiming as a private citizen. The Fair Trading Inspectors Act. The Office of Fair Trading Inspectors will have the same powers when dealing with all licensed industries. This makes the inspection process fairer for all licensees and provides a consistent application across the relevant laws. Inspectors may stop or move a vehicle if they reasonably believe it contains evidence of an offence against the industry legislation, for example the Property Occupations Act, and or if the Agents Financial Administration Act 2014. Seized items. There will be two steps of appeal if our inspectors seize an item. You can request an internal review, which is the first step, or appeal to the Magistrates Court as a second step. The Code of Conduct will no longer be effective on the repeal of the Property Agents and Motor Dealers Act. Under the UACT, there will not be a standalone Code of Conduct that currently exists under PANDA. Instead, certain sections of the former Code of Conduct, including breaches and penalties, will be included in the regulations. Example, conflict of duty or interest. Other former Code of Conduct breaches may be dealt with through other legislation such as the Australian Consumer Law. Example, harassment and coercion, unconscionable conduct. The Australian Consumer Law. All industries must comply with their obligations under the Australian Consumer Law. The Australian Consumer Law includes a national unfair contract term law covering standard form consumer contracts, a national law guaranteeing consumer rights when buying goods and services, a national product safety law and enforcement system, a national law for unsolicited consumer agreement covering door-to-door sales and telephone sales, simple national rules for lay-by agreements, and new penalties and enforcement powers and consumer redress. Thank you for watching this presentation. There are more presentations in this series available on YouTube. You can visit our website and keep in touch with us in a variety of ways.